Welcome to another Cardano update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships if you want access to all of our charts, and by all of our charts, I mean all of them, and we try to update them every single day so you don't miss out on stuff. And yeah, if you want to support the channel, make sure to check them out. Now let's continue with Cardano. As you can see, Cardano is still going up, and I went ahead and changed the wave count because I don't think this is a fifth wave right here. I think this is just an overextension of the third wave, and as you can see, we got 2D 3.618 extension, and it does not really show any signs of wanting to go down, so it's most likely going to continue going up, and we will get a fourth wave at some point, but do not expect this fourth wave move down to be anything too special. And honestly, if we get like a 30% drop overnight and then we continue to pump, it would not surprise me. This is an altcoin season after all, so of course things are not going to stop all of a sudden just so we can get a correction. Now keep in mind, 30% drops are normal during a bull market, and we will most likely get multiple of them during this bull market. But still, if you look at this chart from a weekly perspective, as you can see on the weekly we are overbought. And at some point we will need to cool off. Now keep in mind, we did the exact same thing in the previous cycle as well. As you can see here, we got to the overbought territory, and what happened after that? We cooled off a bit, not too much to be honest. I mean, yes, we did go pretty much sideways for like 3 or 4 weeks there, but this was nothing significant. And keep in mind, here we dropped from about 41.6 cents to about 26 cents, which was like a... Let's actually see how much that was. That was a 34% drop in a matter of just 1 week or so. So if something like that happens, do not be surprised. Now, like I said, I'm expecting this altcoin season to be the most bullish altcoin season we've had so far, just because Bitcoin is pretty much at a $2 trillion market cap, and it will pretty much go to like a $5 to $6 trillion market cap. And if that happens, then of course the altcoins will just go crazy, and this is not even a question. Of course, you could say that this does not really make sense from an Elliot wave point of view, but honestly, the Elliot wave does not always work, especially not in crypto. And yes, it did work right here, and this 1-2 setup that I gave you a couple of months ago actually, it did work here, and it's probably going to continue working. But keep in mind, if you look at the chart from a 4-hour perspective, it's pretty impossible to actually find an accurate Elliot wave count, especially when the price goes up so much in just so little time. I mean, here, as you can see, in November we went up, let's see how much actually, about 250% already, and it does not really show any signs that it has topped, so we will most likely get to like $1.50, maybe even more, before we get any type of correction. And like I said, that correction could be very, very fast, so if you still want to buy, if you somehow did not buy down here, which is a mistake, I mean, I have been making these videos for like 5 months now, and I have been telling you since we were down here that at some point we will need a third wave of this 1-2 setup, and everyone was calling me crazy. Everyone was saying that Cardano is going to zero and that it has no chance of recovering, and look at this, it's currently getting a pump. So yes, I was right, and yes, I do like to talk about that. But, you know, I mean, I'm not really surprised. This is the Elliot wave count we're talking about. As you can see, it works. It's not just bullshit like people are saying, and there's clearly something about it that just works. And I also want to talk about the first wave of the main third wave. So, like I said, there's no sign that it has stopped, and as you can see, what happened in the previous cycle is pretty much similar to what's happening right now. Maybe you could say that the first wave actually topped over here, and the second wave bottomed right here. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. All I know is that the third wave was even more impulsive than the first wave, and as you can see, the third wave right here put us above the previous all-time high of 2018 and above the 100% extension of the all-time high. And if you look at what's happening right now, if we want the third wave to break the previous all-time high, we would obviously have to go above $3.16, and right now we're at about $1, so we're like 3x away from that. And of course, it does not have to play out the exact same way as it did in the previous cycle, but then again, why would it not, considering the fact that everything that has happened so far is very, very similar to what happened in this 1-2 setup right here. Now, like I said, the structure of this 1-2 setup looks more similar to this right here, but it does not even matter anymore because even here, after we bottomed in the second wave move down, we still had a pump, and I think the price would have continued to go up if it weren't for the pandemic over here, so we would not have started another 1-2 setup right here. We would have just continued going up, and I think Cardano could have hit like $5 in the previous cycle if it weren't for the pandemic, so I think this actually held us back quite a bit, and not only Cardano was held back, but Bitcoin and the other crypto market as well. And I'm expecting this altcoin season to be more like the 2017 altcoin season than the 2021 altcoin season. And if you are not around for the 2017 altcoin season, which is very likely, as you can see in 2017, if you look at what happened with Doge during that time, this is how the altcoin season looked like. Doge went up about 21,000% in a matter of like 2 years. 3 years if you take the bear market low of 2015 and the top of 2017. So yeah, when the altcoin season starts, it's not going to stop for a long time. Now, what do I mean by a long time? Well, I'm expecting Cardano to top somewhere between May and August of next year. Now, why am I saying that? Well, as you can see in the previous cycle, Cardano topped in August of 2021. And if you look at when Bitcoin topped in the previous cycle, it actually topped in November of 2021, which was 1.5 months later. So I don't know if Cardano will top at the exact same time as Bitcoin or if it will top 1 month earlier like it did in the previous cycle, but all I know is that Bitcoin and Cardano will pretty much just top in the exact same quarter of the year like they did in the previous 2 cycles. As you can see here, in 2017, Bitcoin topped in December of 2017 and Cardano topped in January of 2018. So here we actually topped later and here we actually topped earlier. So we are either gonna see Cardano top in January of 2026 or in August of 2025. And no matter what happens, Cardano is still expected to go to new all-time highs and Bitcoin is still expected to get like at least 255k, maybe even more. Because at the end of the day, this cycle looks a lot more similar to the 2017 cycle than the 2021 cycle, like I said. So it is very likely that Bitcoin just continues to go higher and higher and higher, and maybe it will exceed our expectations. As you can see in the previous cycle, Bitcoin got to the 3.618 extension of the previous all-time high, and in the cycle before that, it got above the 4.618. So yes, these are diminishing returns, but maybe Bitcoin would have gotten to the 4.618 again if it weren't for the pandemic over here. So I think 100k would have been possible in the previous cycle, but like I said, the pandemic played a big role into this, and I think that's why we did not get there. So for those saying that predicting 300k Bitcoin right now is the same as predicting 100k in the previous cycle, I don't think it is, because in this cycle nothing major has happened, at least not yet, and I don't think something major will happen, so it will pretty much just continue to go higher and higher. And speaking of Bitcoin, let's actually go on the 4-hour chart, because I also want to talk about what's happening over here. As you can see, Bitcoin is currently fighting with the 2.618 extension, and we are very likely to get above it very soon. We have not gotten to 100k yet. I think, like I said, that's a very important psychological level, so of course it's going to be difficult to get above that, but once we get above that, I think it's just going to continue going nuts, and the third wave could overextend. And honestly, do not forget, Bitcoin does not really care about the Elliot wave count. I mean, you cannot tell me that in the 2017 cycle it cared about it, because as you can see here, it just went up in a straight line. So, keep that in mind as well. Of course, we did have these corrections, and we are going to have these corrections if we are following the 2017 cycle. Well, not if we are following the 2017 cycle, if we are going up as much as we did in 2017. So expect 30% corrections and expect Cardano to get like $5 to $8 in this cycle, maybe even more in a more bullish scenario, but my minimum target is like $6, maybe above that. And it has been my target for a very long time now. If you have not watched my previous videos, I mean, it's probably too late now, but when we were down here, I did tell you what my targets were, and they were the exact same as they are right now. Also, I want to talk about something else for a second. As you can see right now, we are currently fighting with the 0.618 expansion of the previous all-time high, and if you look at what happened during the previous cycle, here we got above the 0.618 extension, if you want to call this. So if you want to call this a first wave move, here we got above the 0.618 extension in that first wave move. So maybe we'll do the exact same thing in this cycle, and if we get in the middle of it like we did right here, that will put us at about $1.50, only in the first wave of the main third wave. But keep in mind, if you look at the monthly RSI, we are almost overbought, and this does not really mean anything, especially during a bull market, because as you can see in the previous bull market, we went to an RSI of about 87 or so, and right now the RSI is at like 65, so we obviously have to go up a lot more to actually get to the overbought territory and to get this overbought. So yeah, this is not really a sign that a top has formed, obviously not. And we could even break the RSI levels of the previous cycle, so we could even get RSI levels of like 95 in this cycle if this is actually a main third wave of this 1-2 setup right here. So things are looking very bullish in my opinion, and we'll see what happens with this. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you want to support the channel, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.